Welcome to VetLine, your gathering place for veteran culture, answering your VA questions. With your hosts, the Nate Trondon and your Uncle Whit.
Welcome to VetLine. Today's date is the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and today, of the most romantic of all days, we will be talking about our own mortality. We will also be talking about the entitlements and benefits available to us as veterans from the VA. My name is the Nate Trondon, and with me is your Uncle Whit. Welcome to the show, Whit. How's it going, brother?
Oh, it's going so good. I'm feeling awfully fine and sexy on this Valentine's Day. Ready
I
to
understand
talk about,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
ready to talk about my own demise and the benefits that I'm entitled to.
Of course. I understand you're feeling pretty loose. What's getting you loose this evening?
This evening, it is American lager brewed in industrial vats in aluminum cans.
Classy,
to
man.
Be specific.
Right. I'm drinking a beer myself out of a can. It won a blue ribbon or a Kerry's one on its can, and it goes by 3 nice big letters, big consonants. It's delicious but cheap, if you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. But we can't say their name because they're not paying us or donating to their local Legion post yet.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm good. Actually, this week has been a roller coaster of emotion. I learned a bit about myself, a little bit more about being a father, of course, like you do every week. It's been, maybe we'll talk about this week's adventure in a later episode, but right now I'm feeling a little fresh. The wounds are still a little fresh, and I'm feeling a little, still working over those feelings.
Yeah, I understand. And it's related to mortality. So
It very much is, but we'll discuss it at a later date.
Absolutely.
And again, it's not so fresh. I wanted to talk to you about something. Something kind of popped into my brain when we brought up this topic, and that was that what the typical image of the dying veteran is.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was to be in a movie, or like if CNN was to write a story on it, what would it be? And I think this is what I feel like. If you didn't really know the average veteran, you didn't know any veterans, you would think that every veteran died in a bed with his boots on and US of A on his lips, you know, just every time he left.
Well, that maybe isn't my image. I have the image of the smoke deck, the bottom floor in the parking garage of a VA hospital in my state, and it had a television in there. It was playing like 700 Club on a reel. It was right outside the oncology ward. Oddly enough, anyone that's been there.
Sounds like hell, my friend.
It was the Greyhound bus station in North Vegas. I swear.
Oh.
I've been both places.
Right.
And when I think of dying veterans, I kind of think of that, like, no glory, like stuck in the reel of 700 Club, smoking cigarettes on tile floor in a parking garage. And I mean, as a veteran, when I die, I don't want to be there. I mean, I want to be smoking on the roof, you know.
Right. Well, I feel like this image that I think when I was thinking about it was like, like this is how I think it would be if it was a movie. It'd be like the guy's lying in bed. He's got his boots on, and his wife comes over, and he's gonna check out. And he's going, "Hey, I just want you all to know that I wish I had spent more time serving America. And honey,
no veteran ever.
Right, you are the most important thing to me. And I love America."
America.
America. Right? That's what I feel it is. But I think they forget kind of the diversity of the veteran, in that we have other priorities as well. Many of us, like you and I, have families that we need to take care of, and we can't exactly, that last breath can't be, it better be something like, my will, all that gold is underneath the tree in North Vegas or something, you know?
Yeah.
Something. That's what I think it's gonna be. It's that we're pretty regular. It's nothing heroic and nothing crazy. It's just like any other person, and we have the same exact fears. And so in the same way, we probably should be getting ready for that. And that's kind of something we're going to talk about today.
Well, and we want to be prepared. You know, we want to leave something. And I think our subject matter for this episode is going to be what you, as a veteran, when you get to that point that you are dying, what you're entitled to after you're dead. You know, our last episode we talked about the claims that you can file for service-connected disability, and that's all stuff that you can glean in this life. You know, benefits that you can reap having earned them. These are the benefits that you will not at all. You're not going to see those benefits, but it's good to know that they're there. It's not something that any of us want to talk about. Death is very taboo. Luckily, our listeners are in good company, because hospital corpsmen deal in a very fine medium of life and death. And the way we like to approach the subject is, of course, between ourselves with humor. Sometimes that can be dark, a little macabre, but you know, that's how you get through the tough times. And it's just good for veterans to know what's available when they're dead. And of course, as our last conversation, the bureaucracy of the VA, there are very specific criteria to meet certain benefits, but we'll talk about that more in depth later on.
There's a study I read that says that individuals who follow some sort of religion typically have a more comfortable view of death. And I think there's a sense of, again, that's just pretty general. You never know what the study was, how many people it was. So it was just, it's a jumping off point for me, in that it sounds like these people, something about being somewhat prepared, or at least prepared in their own mind, in their own specific way, kind of helps them handle the subject of mortality. And so in this episode, it's going to be kind of cool. We have some great things available to us. We have some very cool things that I actually honestly know nothing about and need to be educated on, whether you use these benefits or not, you know?
Well, you know, the entitlement, all vets listening should be aware that, you know, you don't have to worry about it too much, because
exactly,
you're not going to be around for those benefits. But if you're the kind of veteran that comes through my office pretty, you know, once in a while, says, hey, you know, I'm getting up there in years, I've had some health problems, like to start thinking about what's available for my wife, my family, after I enter the halls of Valhalla. You know,
right?
You want to know what you can do, what kind of things need to be in place. So, yeah.
Right, and as warriors, we're not separated from it. And being in the warrior culture, you're not separated from this subject. But one of the big things for me getting out was having to acquire things for myself, such as life insurance. I had to get life insurance for myself.
What a crazy thing.
Right, and I'm spending a lot of money on something that will benefit me zero. The only thing it really does is give me peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it really does. And these entitlements and these benefits that are available to us, that's kind of what they're there for. And so this episode, hopefully, will instill some peace of mind, at least a little bit. that to know that these benefits are available.
I want to give a big nod of respect to our Vietnam veterans. I realize that maybe we don't have a big listenership of Vietnam veterans, but I work with them a lot, and they were a highly neglected generation of warriors. You know, these were people that answered a call but came back to a social body that was rejecting them with vigor. And the reason, another nod, the reason that our generation has been able to experience empowerment as a as a group, as a social body, is because of the things that the Vietnam veterans have put into place, that they weren't going to let that happen to the next generation of warriors. So as we enter this conversation, it's complicated, and we're going to try to bring as much humor to it as we can. But I want to give a big nod to the Vietnam veterans out there, because this might be a subject that concerns them a lot. And if you know a Vietnam veteran and you're listening, I hope that you share the information that we're going to talk about, because they earned it just as much as anyone else, and they made it a lot easier for us to get home and be welcomed. So
Absolutely.
On to less serious things.
Right. I had a question for you, Uncle Whit. What would be like your dream funeral?
Oh gosh, you're gonna hit me with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, dream funeral.
Right. You have all the money to spend. Dream funeral.
I think Aretha Franklin is gonna sing some gospel song.
This is a pretty soon thing then, because you're assuming Aretha Franklin's going to outlive you.
That wasn't the parameters that you set up. You said my dream funeral.
All right.
I'm giving you my dream funeral. Like Aretha Franklin is gonna do the
respect the
music.
timeline, though, man.
Yeah, I'm no respect for timeline, man. This is what I envision when I enter Valhalla, when I check out.
Right.
Check out for the last time. Aretha Franklin's going to be there. She's going to be wearing a bright orange dashiki and head wrap. She's going to be singing all the good gospel hymns from her belly. There's going to be really good food, food. People are going to be eating turkey legs fresh off the grill, and they're going to be eating them during the eulogy. That's really important. That you're not allowed to not eat when somebody's talking about whatever legacy I left, good or bad. You have to be mashing on this giant turkey leg and ripping the flesh off of the bone. That kind of thing. I imagine myself, my corpse, being propped in the casket. I have one elbow draped off to the rear. I have the other arm on the other side of the casket, sort of facing the congregation, with a cigarette, between my fingers. Like I'm here and I'm listening, man. I'm listening.
Right.
Maybe I have some cool shades on or something,
Right, like we can have Ernie's or Bernie's, we can have Bernie's kind of thing.
Yeah,
maybe we could even do like a puppet show or something, Give all the good lines that you know.
I get all my corpsman friends together. I know we can make this happen.
Right, if we do this long enough, right, we do this long enough, you could develop your own catchphrase, and every now and again you could just come out with it, like marionette style.
When somebody says like keywords, what are keywords at a funeral? It's like and every time someone says my name, everyone has to do the wave or something.
Right. Well, my thing, I think initially.
Oh yeah. Oh no, what happens to my body is a different story, but I
Let's
want
get
to
into
hear
that in a
what your
second.
dream.
I had a good
your
idea
dream
all of a sudden.
funeral.
Something popped into my head. I think every time they say my name, first of all, I'm going to be cremated.
Right.
They're going to mix me with the bar salt, and every time they say my name, everybody has to take a tequila shot with lime and salt.
Like
Yeah.
a drinking game. Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you will all receive a card that says I'm inside all of you.
I've entered you,
Right.
even if you didn't want me to.
Right.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, it's kind of like what Keith Richards always said, that he, tooted a bit of his old man after he passed. And
that's right. That's crazy.
We're getting more radio friendly. You want to be margarita salt. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
I had one. So, what is available? Let's say I wanted to. I'm on my way out. I want to know what is available to me, ceremonial wise. What's available?
Okay. You have an honorable discharge. You finished, certain terms of service. More importantly, 2 years consecutive, uninterrupted, that kind of thing. Honorable discharge. What's available to all veterans is burial and or internment in a national cemetery. There's national cemeteries spread throughout the country, and you are eligible to spend eternity in one of them. And trust me, well, I haven't been to all national cemeteries around the country, but the one that we have here in the beautiful state of Oregon is probably the nicest piece of property, the really nicest cemetery I've ever visited. I go there on Memorial Day.
I will say this. I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico, which if you have a mental picture of New Mexico, you're probably right. It's pretty barren, arid. But the greenest property in Santa Fe, New Mexico, for acres, is in fact the Veteran Cemetery.
There
so that
you go.
shit is upkept.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're brilliant. They're beautiful, and for me personally, it's good to know that I'm entitled to a piece of land. If I don't get my chunk of heaven, or I can't buy it, or whatever life throws at me, I have plans to own land someday, right? But if that doesn't work out, I still have this 6x3 by whatever square plot that I own somewhere. It's mine. And I don't know, it's a weird thought, but it makes me feel good when I go to bed that at least my family wouldn't have to worry about it if I didn't figure something else out. You know what I mean?
And let's talk about
what do we do with this guy? Oh, National Cemetery.
That's exactly. That's one of the biggest things, I think, when you have to deal with, you're in the situation where you have to deal with individual who's passed, is that now you have to figure out, well, do I do a tombstone? Do you want a tombstone? What do I say on the tombstone? What are these other things? But we know right now we have this little pot that is available to us, so if we need it, if we choose. And that, to me, is kind of gives me a little bit of peace.
Yeah.
That my family's not going to have to do that much searching if we don't have to.
Right.
Yeah. If it's a surprise, or here's kind of a little morbid thing. Is that when I was, this is kind of something that came to mind when we were talking about this topic, and it really sobered me up. And that was that. When I was a kid, this is a true story, I came up to my mother, and she kind of, we started a conversation. I told my mother, you know what? I don't think I'm going to live past 30. I'm like 7 years old. I don't think I'm going to live past 30, but that's okay, because I would have lived a great life. To me, that's very sobering at this point in my life, because I'm a short leap away from 30, and as kind of dark as that story is, it makes me feel good that if there was a surprise, I have something available to me that my family wouldn't have to be so stressed out about.
Right. You got a piece of land.
Exactly. Let them. It just gives more opportunity to deal with it, right? I mean, it's going to be less strenuous, and that man, that gives me particularly a great feeling.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. I mean, you're entitled to this piece of land. Nobody has to buy your plot for you. You know, if you do decide to be cremated and, you know, your family wants to put you on the shelf and all that stuff in a box, you know, whatever people do, if you make it known that you want to be interred in a national cemetery, then at least you and your family, provided that they're listening to our program, knows that that you can be put there. And what's more important about that, the symbol, you know, you being interred with fellow veterans, you know, of all generations. You are now a part of an eternal club. This is you,
Mm.
and you're a part of this. And I think that anybody that's ever had the opportunity to visit a national cemetery, you feel a very deep sense of respect for what it takes to keep a country like ours in the kind of shape that it's in. Because we talked about it a little bit in our first episode. No society, no group of people exist together as a collective without violence, you know, without the violence inherent of social bodies. Who makes sure, who volunteers to defend that? Who is the one that says, I'm here to engage in that and I'm willing to give my life for it? You know, veterans do. And when you go to a national cemetery, you feel that deep respect. I do. And I don't think that anybody worth their salt, worth of staying on this you know, continent, could avoid that if they take the opportunity to visit. So you get to be a part of that club. You know, your name is now on the plaque of those that stepped up. So
Yes, I digress a little bit. What are the ceremonial benefits available to us?
okay, ceremonial. And this gets a little trickier from community to community, but when you pass as a veteran, you're entitled to colors, or not colors, but taps, a color guard to come and attend. Typically, it's a 4-man color guard, someone to play taps, 2 guys to shoot blanks into the air for you know, 2-man gun salute. You have probably one of the bugle players and another guy that'll help fold the flag. It's usually, you know, a 4-man detail for more rural communities. That's what we have out here in my community.
Okay.
And you know, you get that, and you know, damn it, when I die, I don't give a shit who does it, but you know, somebody's playing taps. Somebody somewhere is playing taps, because
Your
it's
wife
the most beautiful.
will be playing taps like Jimi Hendrix on an electric guitar.
You know,
Right.
to me, it's one of the most beautiful pieces of music, and it's an eternal piece of music, and it's very simple. Like all great things, it's very simple.
It is.
And it gives us that time to reflect and feel that obligation. You know, taps isn't saying goodbye somebody. It's saying goodbye somebody that serves something greater than themselves.
Yes, that's great. That's something actually I felt. I'm glad you said it, but I was just going to bring up as well is that who can say that they have a song that says something about their service in life? Right.
Right.
You could pick a song. You could pick the Vitamin C graduation song when you leave. You can pick Jane's Got a Gun from Aerosmith or something crazy that really makes you sound really crazy.
Celebrate good times, come on.
You can pick whatever you want, right? But that
Yeah.
doesn't say much about you. This particularly says something about your personality, something about your idea of perseverance and discipline, and how you handle yourself. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point.
Yeah. Taps is a particularly big deal to me, and I'm sure it is to all veterans because it's beautiful. You know, they play it every night on the big bases and especially at the training bases, and it never got old and it never got less profound.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, you can hear a great song on the radio and love it, you know, the first time you hear it and listen to it for a year, and then if you listen to it too much, it, you know, loses something. Taps never lost anything for me, man.
Right.
I well up every time I hear it. I get that sense in my gut. So, you know, it's good to know that I have a song too. In addition to the knowledge of passing, with having served and known some of the greatest people in the country, it's good to know that I have a song that isn't just my song. It's a shared song. It's a song of, you know, brotherhood and respect,
right.
and dedication.
Some sort of tribal solidarity that will kind of inspires a feeling, an emotion in our tribe, our culture in particular.
Right.
I know exactly what you mean. It sounds.
So in addition,
right.
you know, we're talking about some of those ceremonial things. Any veteran that passes is also eligible. The family is eligible to receive a flag, and acquiring the flag can be tricky. But if you have set up for your veteran or for yourself before you pass, who's going to do your color guard, then, you know, people can pick up the flag from any post office. The United States Postal Service keeps flags on standby. I don't have off the top of my head the form number. I was able to rattle off form numbers last episode like it was cool. Not tonight. But there is a form
A little too loose.
You can fill. Right. There's a form that you can fill out and give to your post office, with, you know, usually accompanied with a death certificate or a DD-214, and the post office will give you a flag, and if you have a color guard already set up, you give it to them, and they will do the ceremonial honors necessary for that flag. Sometimes in my office, people come by, someone's already, you know, passed, interred, so on and so forth, and they just want the flag to commemorate that veteran's service. I either get it. I also have a few that I keep stashed away. My supervisor and I, we fold them up together the way that they should be, and present it to the surviving family member on behalf of the veteran service. And so there's many ways to get the flag, but the post office with the form is one easy way to do it if everything's already been done. So you're entitled to a flag, you're entitled to honors, you're entitled to a plot. What else are you wondering, Nate?
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, you're entitled to a plot. I guess one more thing, jumping back on life insurance, is there something in the VA in which, is there a veteran benefit that makes life insurance less expensive? Or does it?
You know, I don't feel comfortable answering that right now. Not just simply for my lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna open that up. So maybe
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I said maybe we can get back to it. at a later episode. But in terms of life insurance, I don't feel comfortable with that. There are veteran life insurance policies. Many of those are dictated, veteran by veteran,
Mhm.
different times of service, different policies that were offered by the VA or the federal government. But yeah, let's give a big timeout on that one. If anyone
Okay.
wants to ask a question about it, we can
Right.
look into it, and I will
Definitely.
answer it. But
Well, we're creating questions, which is good. Another addition to our portfolio is that now we're creating questions. Uh,
but
Burial
I think
benefits.
maybe.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Well, never, you go ahead.
Okay, I guess I have some questions about burial benefits in terms of, is there like the casket, stuff like that, is that all available to us? Plots of land, different types of burial. Let's say I want to be cremated versus be put in a coffin or composted or, you know, I had an idea for a particular business
Ordered.
actually. Right. My business would be like somewhat of a like a traveling service for people who are on their way out, and they could kind of choose their favorite way or their dream way of being of how their body would be used.
Well,
And this
um,
particular one I thought would be well. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. All right, well, let me talk about
no,
this real quick. I had a pretty good
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So listen to this, man. So you have a business. It hooks you up with whatever you want, your dream burial, right? The commercial would be like an old lady sitting in a chair, and like her son comes up and he has her will available, and you would be like, "Hey, mom, I wanted to talk to you about your burial benefits. Um, you had some pretty interesting burial requests in your will. Um, you're spending 800,000 on your burial, but I'm only inheriting about 25,000 and one of your cats." And then she would be like, "Oh yes, I think I spent $100 to have my body dehydrated and then placed into some cat tablets, some gelatin cat tablets, and then once a month for the next 2 years." Burt Reynolds is going to take me as a suppository twice a day.
Well, did
For
Bert
once, I
agree
will
to
be.
that?
Huh? Well, yeah, because she spent the $800,000. That's the commercial. Maybe it's not as good as I thought. Scratch that. We'll get back to you with my advertisement. Maybe it's a bad business model. But anyway, what I wanted to get at was the different types of burials that are variable, different types of uses for your body. Is there a way that your veteran benefits deal with that?
Not really. That's that's the simple answer. And by not really, I mean that the VA isn't going to handle your last remains directly, usually. Um, for vets that exist in like my community, that's all handled locally.
Right.
So when somebody passes, they either have something set up in their will, or they pass abruptly and the family has to figure it out. If a veteran has a plan set up, that's something that happens once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
A veteran has paid for like internment or cremation or
Right.
embalmment, whatever. Then it's already been paid for. And the way that relates to the VA is that there's nothing to reimburse. You understand?
Yeah.
The VA has the VA has very again specific and sophisticated legal criteria that allow them or don't allow them to reimburse for burial expenses.
Oh.
There was a law kind of recently enacted that if you served in a wartime period, the VA, I think, and don't quote me, I want to give some deniability to the facts or whatever, the information I'm sharing right now. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But the VA was saying, like, if you served in a wartime period and you submit, a burial reimbursement request, that we will pay $300 flat out if you served in a wartime period. And a caveat to that is if you passed away from a service-connected disability, this is very prevalent for our Vietnam veterans exposed to Agent Orange. If you pass away from a service-connected disability, i.e. diabetes type 2, ischemic heart disease, any number of listed soft tissue cancers, then the VA says, okay, we're going to pay you $2,000, and that's for like the embalmment or cremation or whatever.
Okay.
There was nothing. If the veteran just, dies and nobody has anything, they go to this place and somebody else has to incur the cost, the VA does do some reimbursement. You can file the burial reimbursement request. That goes off to St. Paul, Minnesota, I think, and they figure it out. They don't always pay for the whole thing, Some of these elaborate burial requests that you and I are talking about, the VA isn't going to be like, oh yeah, no, he's a veteran, so we're totally cool with bronzing him and mounting him in a public square.
Right.
They're not going to incur that cost just because you wanted it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
they won't feed me.
They will pay for. They may pay for certain things.
Okay. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So the VA will, in fact, reimburse you for your, or not you, but reimburse your family, the closest of kin, for the burial costs.
For certain burial costs that just kind of go case by case. It depends on the veteran's service-connected status, the veteran's wartime service, or lack thereof. But the big takeaway of this conversation, I think, is just that there are burial benefits available to veterans, and they can often be very significant benefits.
That does sound very significant. One of the biggest things I've experienced, especially growing up in a lower income family, is that when somebody dies, it's a big deal because now a lot of people have to fork over a lot of money to do this thing right.
Yeah.
And now, because you have served, you are entitled and you have the privilege of not having to worry about that as much. So all we're trying to do is become familiar with it. All we're asking our listeners to do is put a little ear to the ground and become a little more informed of some of the benefits available.
Just start thinking about it, for crying
Exactly.
out loud. If you're gonna check out, in my office, I deal with all kinds of checking out.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to check out. Arm yourself with the knowledge and share that with the people that will be responsible for your remains, for your shell after you do check out for the last time.
Right.
You are a veteran. You're entitled to certain things. What that is exactly, don't worry about that. You're going to be dead. But
right.
But at least make people aware that if they bring in your death certificate and your DD-214 to a veteran service officer, your local veteran service representative.
I forgot we had sound effects into that exact moment.
Oh, we have sound effects. We've been underusing them.
Underusing them! No! We could have been using that all night.
That would have been a good lead in to, checking out.
Checking out. Ooh, that is dramatic.
But it's important to let people know that there are things. And most funeral homes, I got to say, most funeral homes that process veterans' remains, man, they know the deal. Like, they're gonna ask, and they know what veterans are entitled to and how, because a lot of times their business depends on it, and so they get reimbursed, for example, for doing cremation or embalmment or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, when I check out, what I'm working on right now is a packet.
Okay.
It's a packet that says "Do not open until I am dead."
Oh.
And in that packet,
That is dramatic.
and when I die, I'm going to have all the paperwork filled out. I'm going to have my tombs. You're entitled to a headstone too, by the way. I failed to mention that. Headstone or gravestone marker. But I'll have that filled out. I'll have the reimbursement request filled out up to a point that doesn't document the numbers. Whoever's handling the financial bits are going to have to fill those in, but that's fine. I'm also going to have the application for the cemetery filled out.
Oh.
But additionally, as a service-connected disabled veteran, I'm going to have a little letter that I want my doctor to read before they sign my death certificate. Because if you pass away from a service-connected disability, things open up quite a bit. For example, if you're married and you pass away from a service-connected disability, your wife may very well be entitled to, or spouse, may be entitled to what's called death and indemnity compensation, and that's like a service-connected disability payment to your spouse over a course of time. Like we kind of addressed in the last episode, what a doctor says is law according to VA adjudicators, the people that are reviewing the claims.
Right.
Doctor says that a veteran's PTSD attributed to his hypertension, which attributed to his cardiac arrest, ultimate cause of death, and that's noted on the death certificate, then the surviving spouse is eligible for DIC, and that pays out right now at about $1,200 a month, and that's not rated against any income. That's a flat rate.
That's actually some great information. What was that called again?
Death and indemnity compensation.
Death and indemnity compensation. I had not heard of that before.
DIC.
See. Right.
It's.
Is there anything else? Anything else? You said you have a lot of the paperwork already filled out. Is there anything else maybe we should think about in order to have ourselves set up for our next of kin to have a easier time navigating our VA benefits?
Well, you can have all the forms filled out, and you can have like a letter to your doctor that says, hey, do me a favor, please note that this and that, what are my service-connected disabilities, and how could that have contributed to my death, and if it did, please write it on the death certificate. It saves us all a lot of time. You can do that.
Right.
If it's gonna work, I don't know. No one tells doctors or lawyers what to do. They do what they do. But more of a recommendation. Aside from just having the forms filled out, the biggest, I think I've said this on Facebook, just in my personal shares, and dealing with veterans on a daily basis with really tough issues. Nobody, the VA, your spouse, your family, nobody is going to take care of you the way you can. That's the biggest thing, you know. So the rest is really up to how well you set up your own, your own demise. Like not set up your own demise. That came
Right.
out like how when you die, which you're going to, we all do.
Oh man.
How well you set up the things that will take that pressure off of your family. You know,
Right.
I'm addressing some things that are really peripheral for VA claims, but just because you die doesn't necessarily mean that the VA is responsible. So it's
Mhm.
all a matter of how well you take care of your own affairs, uh, and that goes for healthcare too. You know.
I just thought of something that when you said set up your own demise, I feel like I may have to change my conversation with my wife about what to do if I become kind of the incapable of taking care of myself. I think I just may have
Ooh,
her
yeah.
hire an assassin. She doesn't have to do anything. I'll have money set aside, and then somebody could just, silence me.
Nah, I don't think that would be really good because then you wouldn't be able to have a good argument for service-connected death.
Oh, look
If
at you
if
thinking
somebody,
ahead. See?
yeah, see, if somebody just took you out, then it would be like, oh, murdered by assassin on your death certificate. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that would work against your DIC claim for your wife. So,
Right. She would not
I
get
mean,
the IC.
if you do hire an assassin, if you do, make sure they poison you or something.
Something really low grade that nobody can detect. All right, I think that's it
Well,
for us. We're kind of
like
running.
you're
Go
oh, never
crazy.
mind. I'm sorry.
No, go crazy.
Nothing.
That's good.
I can't go crazy. I'm already crazy. The
All
VA said
right.
I'm crazy.
All right. Well, that's I think our show for us tonight.
Hey, Nick,
Yes,
you gotta give a big nod to some folks, as I
I do.
recall.
I was getting to that next. That's why I saved some time.
Oh, sorry.
So that's our show for us tonight. Look, we have a account online in which you can make donations to the show, kind of help us hit a goal. What was that site called, Uncle Whip?
It's called GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Online begging is what we're doing. Okay?
Yeah, it's our big cardboard sign on the side of the freeway. Like, consider us the online version of standing at a ramp that says "Home pageless veteran talk show needs your support. Donate, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, blah 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 blah."
So,
GoFundMe, you can donate anything. It can be, a buck. It can be $100. Anything helps us because awareness doesn't come cheap in the digital age.
right. And right now in this infant,
Pay for those.
I
No,
am so talking over you tonight, dude, and I have to apologize for that.
I'm
It's
talking
driving
over
me
you.
crazy.
You go.
Well, I guess I wanted to talk about continue going on with the GoFundMe, and that was we are in the infant stage. We are at the very first stage of this podcast and what we can do, and trying to develop and put our fingers into the veteran culture and see if there's what we can get for a pulse. And what we're getting right now is great information. And I wanted to bring up some of the people on our GoFundMe account who have essentially become the plank owners of our ship. Plank owners being the individuals who were on the ship and became part of the ship initially on the very first voyage.
Boom.
First
Amazing
person I would like to
voyage.
talk about is Robert from San Diego. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate what you're doing. Chris in Oceanside, California. Thank you for your donations. Jason in Santa Fe, New Mexico, my hometown. Thank you for your support. Nick from Newport, Oregon. We appreciate you. We appreciate your money. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Your very generous donation.
A very generous donation. You really helped us. Cole, where's Cole from, Uncle Whit?
Portland.
In Portland, Oregon. Cole in Portland, Oregon. Thank you very much for your.
He was raised in Newport, but.
Oh. And finally, Nicole out of San Juan. Thank you very much for your sizable donation to the VetLine radio ship. Everybody,
we really can't thank you enough.
We really
Thank you
can't.
all.
This is kind of making us feel like this is actually gonna go forward. We could it's gonna stay afloat.
I think it will. And if people like the ones that have already contributed keep saying that they want to hear this kind of programming, they want to be connected in this way, they've already cast their vote. And I urge anyone, no donation is too small. A buck. A buck goes a long way on the internet. You know what I mean?
Right. Thank you very much.
All donations will be reinvested into promotion and advertising for this kind of programming. So just be advised. Neither one of us are gonna withdraw those and buy beer. It's not gonna happen.
Even though it is a central driving force of our show.
Yeah, it's one of the driving forces.
Right, or the gas of sorts.
Peripheral.
Mm-hmm.
And if we decide to write that in as a business expense, that will certainly come later, and we will notify anybody of that beforehand, and
Full
hopefully repay the people that have.
Right.
But we'll try to maintain, transparency in a big way. But for now, everything that you donate, anything that you donate, goes right back into promoting this program. So thank you all who have.
Thank you again. Yes. Robert, Chris, Jason, Nick, Nicole, and Cole. Thank you very much for your sizable donation. Everybody else, you can help us and you can support us on Facebook at VetLine Radio. You can go to our Twitter account. You can support us there as well. That's going to be at VetLine Official. In addition, we also have a Google Plus account, and you can find us there. And that's where we post. You will find us streaming right now on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And we just changed. We were advertising Sunday nights. We're changing to Saturday.
Yeah, a little bit better schedule, I think. It's a little easier. It's a little easier for everyone.
Because I've been dragging, man. On Monday morning, I go in to do my veteran service thing. And, after programming this show and how long we can go, I just find myself a little cloudy on Monday morning. And so please tune into us on Saturday.
Yes, please. Also, we encourage your questions. So eventually we would like to just be purely, almost entirely questions and audience-driven. So please send us questions on our Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus accounts. I am the Natron Don for your Uncle Whit, saying, taps, taps, lights out, America.